The academy floated like a jewel among the stars, its towers reaching toward the heavens as if they tried to touch the infinite. Ships of all shapes and sizes glided around it, docking at gleaming platforms. The place was alive with chatter in countless languages, some with musical notes that could make even stone walls seem to hum. Students from every corner of the galaxy walked its polished corridors, carrying books, devices, and experimental gadgets that sparkled with energy. They were brilliant, proud, and certain of their own superiority. In the midst of all this grandeur, a human quietly moved through the halls, unnoticed and often ignored. He was a janitor, dressed in simple gray overalls, with a mop in one hand and a small toolkit in the other. His face was plain, his hair ordinary, and his presence barely registered among the brilliant minds of the academy. Students stepped around him without a glance, professors ignored his quiet greetings, and alien sentries only raised an eyebrow before returning to their duties. He moved from room to room, sweeping, fixing minor malfunctions, and ensuring everything remained clean and orderly. His work was precise, silent, and essential, yet invisible. Despite his invisibility, the human was not ordinary. He moved with a calm efficiency that suggested years of discipline and experience. His eyes scanned each room carefully, noticing details that most overlooked: a loose wire, a faint crack in the floor, a device that hummed slightly off-key. He never drew attention to himself. In fact, he often smiled faintly when a student tried to appear busy near him, sensing their nervous energy and gently avoiding confrontation. No one knew his name, and few bothered to ask. He was just the janitor, nothing more. Some students whispered about him. "Do you think he really is human?" one would ask. "He fixes machines faster than the repair drones," another would reply. But these whispers rarely lasted. Most students were too focused on their studies, experiments, and competitions to pay attention to the quiet human who moved among them. Even the faculty, who prided themselves on noticing everything, largely overlooked him. On one ordinary morning, the human walked into the science wing with his mop and toolkit. The hall was filled with students practicing their experiments, levitating objects, creating holographic models, and running chemical simulations. He moved along the edges of the room, careful not to disturb anyone but always observing. He noticed a device sparking faintly, its energy flow unstable. Without hesitation, he stepped forward and adjusted the device, reconnecting a wire and stabilizing the current. The students barely looked up, some noticing only a flicker of movement out of the corner of their eyes. As he finished his work, a student accidentally bumped into him. The human looked down, smiling politely, and that's when the student saw it: a faint mark on the side of the janitor's neck, partially hidden by his collar. It glowed very slightly, almost like a heartbeat in light. The student froze, unsure of what to make of it. The mark was not like anything humans normally had. It shimmered in subtle patterns, as if alive. The student's curiosity overcame hesitation, and he leaned closer, whispering a question. What is that?" The human's smile widened slightly, though he said nothing. He simply adjusted his collar and continued walking, his movements calm and deliberate. The student blinked, and when he looked again, the human had already disappeared around the corner, blending effortlessly into the background. The mark, however, lingered in the student's mind, like a puzzle he could not solve. Word of the mark spread slowly, first among a few curious students, then among small groups who observed the janitor in secret. "Did you see it?" they whispered in corners. "There's a glowing pattern on his neck. What could it mean?" But even as questions arose, no one approached him directly. The janitor seemed to sense when he was being watched, and he moved with such precision that he never revealed more than small hints. Meanwhile, the human continued his duties, unnoticed yet crucial. He repaired broken equipment without a word, cleaned laboratories, and even organized the library sections that had been neglected for weeks. When a rare plant in the Academy's greenhouse began to wither due to a malfunction in the watering system, he quietly adjusted the flow, ensuring the delicate life survived. Students who walked past noticed the plants thriving, but had no idea who had cared for them. Despite his invisibility, there were moments when the human's skill could not go unnoticed. During a practical test in the engineering hall, a group of students struggled to stabilize a hovering platform. Sparks flew, the platform wobbled, and panic began to rise. The janitor moved silently to the corner, observing their actions. With a few calm adjustments, tweaking a circuit here, tightening a joint there, the platform stabilized perfectly. The students stared in disbelief. "How? Who did that?" one whispered, glancing around. The human had returned to his work, bending over a mop bucket, his actions unnoticed as he whistled a quiet tune. The Academy itself seemed to have a pulse, a rhythm that the human understood instinctively. He could move through it without drawing attention, always aware of the flow of students, the pattern of lectures, and the unseen energy of experiments in progress. His abilities were subtle but remarkable. He understood alien technology instinctively, could read the patterns of complex systems, and seemed to anticipate problems before they arose. Yet he never boasted, never interfered unnecessarily, and always allowed the Academy to function as if by itself. On one quiet evening after the last lecture had ended and most students had returned to their quarters, the human walked through the dormitory halls. A small group of aliens had left their rooms unlocked, leaving devices unattended. He noticed a machine sparking dangerously and moved to adjust it. As he worked, one young alien peeked from behind a door. The janitor did not startle or react. He worked calmly, his hands precise and steady. The mark on his neck glimmered faintly in the dim light, and the alien gasped softly, realizing that there was something extraordinary about this human. The next morning, the Academy was abuzz. Rumors of the mark, of the janitor's abilities, and of mysterious interventions spread like wildfire among students. Some claimed he was a lost experiment. Others whispered that humans had hidden powers no one truly understood. Even some junior faculty began to notice patterns. Whenever a critical problem arose, it seemed to vanish without explanation, always in areas where the janitor had been present. Despite the growing curiosity, the human remained calm, observing without engaging. He had no desire for recognition, no need for praise. His purpose was simple: to maintain balance, ensure the Academy functioned smoothly, and protect life and knowledge within its walls. He understood that the galaxy often underestimated humans, considering them weak or simple. Yet he also knew that human resilience, adaptability, and ingenuity could accomplish what others thought impossible. As the days passed, the mark on his neck remained a subtle enigma. Some students tried to approach him, asking questions they were too nervous to voice clearly. The human would offer a polite nod or a faint smile, never revealing more than necessary. Occasionally, he would glance at the mark himself, a silent acknowledgement of a past he rarely spoke of. It was a reminder of a mission long ago, of secrets humans carried, and of the quiet strength that lived within him. One afternoon, a particularly bold student attempted to follow the janitor through the halls. The human noticed immediately, adjusting his pace so the student could not close the distance. Eventually, the student gave up, frustrated but curious. The janitor continued, never breaking stride, cleaning, repairing, and observing. He knew the galaxy often overlooked what it could not understand, and he had learned that invisibility could be a powerful tool. In the Academy's library, the human paused for a moment. Shelves towered above him, filled with texts from countless civilizations. He ran a hand along the spine of a human book, a simple gesture, yet one that connected him to the past. The mark on his neck shimmered faintly as he passed, unnoticed by the few late-night students studying in quiet corners. The human had learned to survive, to thrive, and to protect knowledge in ways the galaxy could never predict. By the end of Part 1, the stage was set. The Academy continued its daily rhythm, brilliant and bustling, unaware that a quiet human janitor held within him a potential that could challenge the expectations of the galaxy. His mark was a mystery, a signal of abilities that even the most advanced aliens could not comprehend. Students whispered, curiosity grew, and the first hints of recognition began to ripple through the corridors. Yet the human remained humble, patient, and observant, a silent guardian among those who believed they were the stars of the Academy. No one knew his full story, and perhaps they never would. But one thing was certain: the human janitor was far more than he seemed, and the mark on his neck was the first sign that the galaxy had underestimated humanity in ways it would soon regret. Academy had begun to stir with curiosity, though most students still treated the janitor as invisible. Yet whispers followed him wherever he went. Some spoke in hushed tones about the faint mark on his neck, others about the strange, almost effortless way he fixed machines and predicted malfunctions. Rumors often grew faster than facts in the corridors, and already the human had become a quiet legend among those curious enough to notice. Still, he went about his work, patient and careful, never drawing attention to himself, yet always alert. It was during a routine day in the Academy's laboratories that the subtle tension around him began to grow. The laboratories were a hive of activity, with alien students testing energy pulses, creating floating constructs, and experimenting with gravity-bending technologies. The hum of energy and the scent of ionized air filled the halls. Some students, eager to test their devices in front of visiting faculty, ignored safety protocols. Sparks leapt unpredictably, and a few minor fires flared before being extinguished automatically. The human moved quietly, observing from a distance. His eyes flicked to the weak spots in the energy fields, to the unstable circuits that threatened explosions, and to the students too proud or distracted to notice danger. With calm, practiced hands, he adjusted a power regulator that was about to overload. The energy pulse stabilized. Sparks faded. The nearest students barely noticed, yet their inventions began working correctly, as if by some invisible hand. Among the students was a young alien named Thalric, a member of the four-armed Varn species. Thalric had been struggling with a levitation device that refused to maintain balance, and frustration was mounting. The human watched quietly for a moment, then made a subtle adjustment in the device's core without interrupting the students. The platform hovered steadily, spinning gently in perfect symmetry. Thalric froze, then glanced around. "Did someone—" His voice trailed off as he realized no one was nearby. The human had already moved down the hall, blending effortlessly with the shadows. By midday, the whispers had grown louder. Small groups of students began comparing notes about the janitor. Some theorized that he was a rare human with unknown abilities, while others suggested he might have been part of some secret experimental program. "No human could be that precise," one student said, shaking his head. "Even the drones make mistakes, and he never does." Others argued it was simply luck, but the evidence was mounting too consistently for luck to explain. The janitor noticed the increased attention but did not react. He had learned long ago that curiosity could be both a threat and a tool. When watched, he moved as if invisible, allowing others to believe they saw nothing, yet always keeping himself ready for the moment when intervention was necessary. He knew patience was often stronger than confrontation, and he understood that humans had a way of surviving where others relied only on brute strength or superior technology. That evening, the Academy's main power grid experienced a sudden surge. Alarms blared, red lights flashed, and the students in the energy engineering wing panicked. Most ran for cover or attempted to stabilize the system using theoretical methods. The human arrived quietly, moving through the chaos with calm steps. The mark on his neck glimmered faintly as he connected his tools to the overloaded circuits. Sparks danced dangerously around him, yet he did not flinch. With careful adjustments and a keen understanding of the energy flow, the surge was contained. Lights stabilized, machines hummed normally, and the students blinked in disbelief. "How did that just—" one stammered. The human smiled faintly, nodding at the stabilized systems, then walked away as if nothing had happened. The mark on his neck faded from view, leaving only the faintest trace of its earlier glow. That night, the janitor found a quiet corner in the academy's greenhouse. He often went there to think and observe. The greenhouse was a sanctuary filled with plants from countless worlds, some delicate, others aggressive, all nurtured carefully. He paused before a plant with translucent leaves that glowed softly. Its life depended on a delicate balance of water, nutrients, and energy. He adjusted a small regulator feeding the plant, ensuring it received the exact care it needed. The human had always been attentive to details, understanding that even the smallest adjustment could prevent catastrophe. As he worked, a faculty member entered quietly. Dr. Zera, a specialist in interspecies technology, and one of the few who had begun to take notice of him, observed from the doorway. She had seen patterns, problems that disappeared, devices that stabilized mysteriously, and now the faint glowing mark on his neck. Curiosity and professional interest combined as she stepped forward cautiously. "You've been very busy," she said softly, her voice steady but curious. The human looked up, nodding politely. "I keep the academy running," he replied simply. His voice was calm, neutral, carrying no pride, yet it commanded attention without effort. Dr. Zera studied him carefully, noticing the faint shimmer of the mark. It pulsed subtly, almost as if it were alive in rhythm with his movements. "You are more than just a janitor," she said carefully. "I've been observing. You fix things that no one else can, stabilize experiments, save projects from failure." Her words were cautious, as if speaking too directly might break the delicate barrier of invisibility he maintained. The human inclined his head slightly. "I only do what is necessary," he said. "The academy has a purpose. I help it fulfill that purpose." Dr. Zera nodded slowly, sensing there was much more beneath his calm exterior than anyone could imagine. "May I ask about the mark?" she whispered, careful to respect his privacy. The human hesitated briefly, then touched the faint mark lightly. Its glow brightened for a heartbeat before fading again. "It is a reminder," he said softly, "of a mission, of knowledge humans carry, and of responsibilities that others do not understand." Before she could respond, a loud alarm echoed through the greenhouse. One of the alien student groups had activated an experimental energy conduit, causing a small explosion. Panic swept through the room. Without hesitation, the human moved toward the danger, his hands deftly manipulating controls and stabilizing the conduit. Sparks flew dangerously, but in minutes, the situation was contained. No one was hurt, and the conduit functioned normally once more. Dr. Zera watched in awe. The human's calm efficiency, the ease with which he managed alien technology, and the subtle pulse of the mark on his neck revealed something extraordinary. She realized that humans, often underestimated in the galaxy, possessed a resilience and adaptability that even advanced species could not fully comprehend. The next morning, the human's actions became the topic of hushed conversations throughout the academy. Students debated theories. Was he part of a secret program? Did humans secretly possess powers the galaxy had never seen? Some speculated wildly about ancient technology or lost knowledge from Earth's distant past. The janitor moved among them, cleaning, repairing, and observing, entirely unaffected by the attention. A group of students finally gathered courage to follow him during his routine rounds. They were careful, whispering, trying not to be seen. Yet the human seemed aware of every glance, every movement. He led them through corridors with subtle shifts, ensuring they never approached too closely, guiding their curiosity without revealing his full abilities. He understood observation could teach more than confrontation, and humans often learn to survive by adapting rather than overpowering. Meanwhile, the faint glow of his mark remained a mystery. Some students noticed it shimmering when he interacted with alien devices, others during moments of extreme focus. None could explain it, and attempts to get close enough to examine it were always thwarted by his quiet vigilance. The mark became a symbol, a puzzle that whispered of hidden potential and unrecognized strength. By midweek, the academy had shifted slightly. Students who once ignored humans now watched them more closely. Teachers began acknowledging the possibility that humans might possess qualities not immediately visible. Yet the human janitor remained calm, working quietly, never claiming credit. His actions spoke louder than words. Humans, often underestimated, could achieve what others thought impossible, not through raw power alone, but through patience, intelligence, and quiet determination. One evening, as the academy settled into a calm lull, the janitor paused in the observation deck. From there, he could see the stars stretching endlessly, the ships gliding between platforms, and the vast galaxy beyond. His mark pulsed faintly, and he touched it as if drawing strength from memories long ago. Humans had been explorers, survivors, innovators, and quietly resilient in ways that often went unnoticed. He understood that the galaxy might never fully appreciate humanity's capabilities, yet he also knew that the smallest actions could ripple into monumental change. As he prepared for another night of rounds, a small voice spoke behind him. "Excuse me?" A young alien student, trembling slightly, approached. I just wanted to say thank you for saving the lab, for helping the experiments." The human smiled faintly, a gesture full of warmth yet quiet in humility. "The academy is a place of knowledge. I only ensure it survives to teach others," he said. The student nodded, eyes wide, and left quietly, carrying with them a newfound respect for humans. By the end of Part 2, the academy had changed subtly, though most were not aware. Curiosity had shifted perceptions, and the human janitor, once invisible, had begun to leave a mark, not just the faint glow on his neck, but a growing awareness that humans could hold the galaxy's potential in ways few suspected. His quiet interventions, his calm efficiency, and the mysterious mark on his neck had become a story whispered in corridors, a puzzle yet to be solved, and a promise that the underestimated strength of humanity was beginning to reveal itself. The galaxy continued its routines, brilliant and bustling, yet a single human moved among it, unnoticed by many but carrying within him the essence of resilience, ingenuity, and quiet power. And while the students and faculty speculated and whispered, the janitor continued his work, patient, observant, and ready for the challenges the future would bring, knowing that humans often thrived when others did not expect them to. The academy was alive with energy, the hum of technology blending with the excited chatter of students preparing for one of the semester's most important simulations. The simulation was designed to test interspecies teamwork, strategy, and problem-solving under extreme conditions. Students from all corners of the galaxy participated, eager to demonstrate their intelligence, skill, and mastery of the Academy's advanced technologies. The hall was filled with floating consoles, holographic screens, and devices that responded to thought commands. It was the pinnacle of their education, a test where mistakes could be costly, both in knowledge and reputation. Among the students, the human janitor moved quietly as always, unnoticed yet alert. He had already completed his rounds for the morning, fixing minor malfunctions, adjusting energy flows, and ensuring the environment remained stable. He walked past students who were frantically preparing their equipment, adjusting settings, and reviewing notes. He smiled faintly, observing the predictable chaos with calm detachment. While others relied on flashy devices, intricate algorithms, and alien intuition, he had learned that observation and subtle intervention often achieved more than brute skill alone. The simulation began with a sudden surge of energy across the main hall. Holographic landscapes shifted and complex constructs materialized, creating obstacles and challenges for the participating teams. Students raced to respond, their minds stretched to the limits of logic and speed. Yet almost immediately, something went wrong. A power fluctuation caused one of the energy conduits to overload. Sparks flew dangerously, the holographic landscape flickered, and several devices malfunctioned. Panic spread among the participants as alarms blared and lights flashed red. The human janitor stepped forward. His calm presence contrasted sharply with the chaos around him. Students froze, unsure who was approaching, and faculty hesitated at the edges, waiting to see how the situation would resolve. The mark on the janitor's neck glimmered faintly, pulsing in rhythm with the energy around him. It was subtle, yet those who noticed it felt a strange sense of awe, as if witnessing something beyond comprehension. With steady hands, he began adjusting the conduits, connecting circuits with precision, stabilizing energy flows, and redirecting excess power. Sparks leapt dangerously, yet he worked without fear, fully aware of the risks and consequences. Students watched in disbelief as the malfunction was contained in minutes, the simulation restored to its intended state, and the devices began functioning flawlessly. Whispers spread quickly. "Did you see that? The janitor. He just—" But before anyone could finish, he had already moved on, blending once again into the background. Among the observers was Dr. Zira, who had been quietly studying the janitor for weeks. She felt a mixture of curiosity and admiration. The human's abilities were extraordinary, not just in technical skill, but in calm problem-solving, anticipation of errors, and a deep understanding of systems that even the most advanced students struggled to grasp. His mark pulsed brighter for a moment as he worked, then faded, leaving her with more questions than answers. As the simulation progressed, more problems emerged. A hovering construct began to spin uncontrollably, threatening to collide with other devices. A group of alien students scrambled to stabilize it, but their methods only worsened the situation. The human moved closer, assessing the problem quickly. With a subtle gesture, he adjusted the central balance point of the construct, stabilizing it perfectly. The students stared, mouths open, as the construct hovered gracefully. He nodded politely, and they realized too late that they had been saved again, almost invisibly. The mark on his neck pulsed brighter now, responding to the energy around him. It was no longer a subtle shimmer, but a faint glow, casting a soft light on his collar. Some students noticed it and whispered among themselves. "It's reacting to his work," one said. "I've never seen anything like it," another replied. The human, aware of the attention, did not hide or explain. He simply continued, calm and focused, observing patterns, correcting errors, and preventing accidents. Suddenly, a massive surge hit the simulation center. An experimental energy matrix, designed to test interstellar propulsion, began to overload. Alarms blared louder and the hall shook slightly. Students panicked, some attempting to shut down the matrix, others frozen in fear. The situation was critical. If the matrix exploded, it could destroy valuable equipment and potentially injure participants. The human stepped forward without hesitation. His mark glowed steadily now, almost as if responding to the matrix's energy. He connected his tools, adjusted circuits, and manipulated energy flows with an intuitive precision that seemed almost impossible. Sparks flew, devices hummed at frequencies beyond normal hearing, and the matrix began to stabilize under his touch. Faculty members approached cautiously, realizing that no student or instructor could have managed the crisis alone. The human's calm determination was extraordinary, a clear display of human resilience and ingenuity. As he worked, one student, a young alien named Rylix, approached cautiously. Who are you?" he asked, voice trembling. The human looked at him, his expression gentle but firm. "I am someone who ensures the Academy functions safely," he replied. "I help knowledge continue." Rylix nodded, unsure whether to be relieved, impressed, or frightened. He had seen humans before, but never like this. They were always considered fragile, but the janitor was proving that humans could operate beyond expectations, quietly and effectively. Minutes passed, and the matrix stabilized completely. The hall returned to normal, alarms silenced, and the simulation resumed without further incident. Students were in awe, murmuring among themselves. Many had witnessed the humans' calm efficiency and were beginning to question everything they thought they knew about humanity. Aliens who had previously dismissed humans as weak now looked at them with curiosity, respect, and perhaps a hint of fear. After the simulation, the human walked quietly to a corner of the hall. Dr. Zera approached him again, more determined this time. "You saved the entire simulation," she said softly. "Your abilities, your understanding of energy, machines, and even the behavior of students. It's remarkable. How do you do it?" The human smiled faintly, a small expression of humility. "Observation and adaptation," he said. "Humans survive because we notice what others miss. We adapt to challenges, learn quickly, and act when necessary." Dr. Zera nodded, realizing that he was right. Humans had long been underestimated, their true potential hidden beneath appearances of simplicity. The janitor, quiet and unassuming, was a living example of that hidden strength. His mark glowed faintly as he spoke, and she felt that it was not just a physical symbol, but a representation of human resilience, ingenuity, and quiet courage. Word of his actions spread quickly throughout the academy. By evening, small groups of students and faculty discussed the janitor openly, though most were still cautious about approaching him directly. They speculated endlessly. Was he part of an ancient human lineage with special abilities? Was the mark a sign of a hidden human technology or knowledge? Some suggested he might be connected to a lost expedition, humans thought to be extinct in deep space. Yet the janitor remained calm, focused on his duties, never seeking recognition or reward. That night, the human found a quiet spot in the Academy's observation deck. The stars stretched endlessly before him, and he traced their patterns with his eyes. The galaxy was vast, full of civilizations, technologies, and knowledge. Yet humans had always found a way to survive and thrive. The mark on his neck glowed faintly, a reminder of the past, a symbol of hidden potential, and a promise of what humans could accomplish when underestimated. As he reflected, a group of students approached cautiously. We wanted to thank you," one said, voice trembling slightly, "for everything today, for saving the simulation, and for helping us." The human smiled gently, acknowledging their words without pride. "The Academy is a place for learning," he said. "I ensure it continues to function so that knowledge may be preserved and shared." The students nodded, their respect for humans growing, even as the mystery of the mark remained unsolved. By the end of Part 3, the Academy had changed in subtle but significant ways. Students and faculty were beginning to see humans differently, not as weak, fragile beings, but as adaptable, intelligent, and quietly powerful. The janitor's calm interventions, precise skills, and the mysterious mark on his neck had begun to reshape perceptions, creating a ripple effect that would challenge prejudices and assumptions throughout the academy. The human continued his work, cleaning, repairing, and observing. His mark remained a faint glow, pulsing in harmony with his actions, a symbol of the hidden potential that humans carried within them. Though many still underestimated him, those who had witnessed his abilities knew the truth. Humans were far more capable than the galaxy had ever imagined. And as the stars stretched endlessly beyond the observation deck, the janitor understood that his purpose was not just to maintain the academy, but to quietly reveal the strength and resilience of humanity, one subtle act at a time. The academy had grown restless in the days following the simulation. Whispers of the human janitor's abilities and the faint glowing mark on his neck traveled from corridor to corridor, spreading curiosity, awe, and even unease among students and faculty alike. Some speculated endlessly about his origins, suggesting hidden technology, lost human knowledge, or secret missions that had placed him far beyond ordinary human limits. Yet the janitor moved among them quietly, humble, and unassuming, continuing his work as if the galaxy itself held no surprise for him. The tension in the academy reached a tipping point when an unexpected emergency struck. A new experimental energy conduit, far larger and more unstable than any before, began to malfunction. The conduit's energy readings spiked dangerously, sending tremors through the central hub. Students panicked, their attempts to stabilize it failing repeatedly. Alarms blared across the hall, red lights flashing in warning. Faculty members rushed in, trying to assess the situation, but even the most experienced among them struggled to control the surge. The Academy's most advanced drones worked tirelessly, yet the conduit continued to destabilize. The janitor, noticing the escalating danger, moved toward the hub with calm determination. The mark on his neck pulsed brighter than ever before, reacting to the energy of the conduit. Students who saw it could feel its subtle glow, almost as if it resonated with the rhythm of the universe. The human walked steadily into the chaos, his expression composed, his hands steady, and his mind clear. He assessed the situation with swift precision. The conduit's energy flows were complex, interwoven, and reactive to multiple environmental factors. Most beings would have been overwhelmed by the chaotic readings and flashing warnings, but he analyzed the problem with calm logic, predicting fluctuations before they occurred. With a few quick adjustments, he redirected the energy flows, stabilizing minor surges. Sparks leapt around him, but he remained unfazed, moving closer to the core of the conduit with the quiet confidence of someone who had faced far worse. Students watched in disbelief as the human worked. Some whispered, others gasped, and a few fell silent entirely, realizing they were witnessing something extraordinary. He's controlling it, one student muttered. No human could do this, another said, shaking their head in awe. Yet here he was, doing exactly what no one else could, as if his very presence reshaped the rules of possibility. The mark on his neck glowed steadily now, and a soft hum resonated from it. It was no longer subtle or hidden. It was a visible manifestation of the power he carried, a reminder that humans were capable of ingenuity and resilience that the galaxy had yet to fully understand. Some students instinctively stepped back, unsure if the glow represented danger or something more profound. The human noticed their hesitation but did not slow his work. As he neared the conduit's core, a massive surge threatened to erupt. Sparks flew violently, and the energy readings spiked far beyond safe limits. Without hesitation, the human reached into the core, adjusting the intricate network of circuits and energy channels with deft hands. He spoke softly, almost to himself, issuing commands that blended language, thought, and subtle gestures. The conduit stabilized gradually, then fully, as the energy pulse aligned perfectly with the surrounding systems. Faculty and students alike were stunned into silence. No alarms remained, no sparks flew, and the conduit operated flawlessly. The janitor stepped back, his work complete, his mark pulsing faintly before settling into a soft glow. For the first time, there was no question. He was more than a janitor. He was a living symbol of human adaptability, intellect, and courage. Dr. Zira, who had been observing closely, stepped forward. You saved the academy," she said, voice trembling with admiration. "No one else could have done it. How are you able to do this?" The human looked at her, calm yet kind. Humans survive by noticing patterns, by adapting, and by acting when others cannot, he replied. "I only do what is necessary to protect knowledge and life." His words were simple, but their weight carried far beyond their modest phrasing. Students approached cautiously, some daring to ask questions aloud. "Who are you really?" a young alien asked. "Why do you help us?" The human smiled faintly. "I am someone who ensures that learning continues, that knowledge is not lost, that life, no matter how small, is preserved." His mark pulsed again, brighter this time, as if acknowledging the truth of his words. The academy, which had long underestimated humans, began to change subtly in perception. Where once students had dismissed humans as fragile or ordinary, now they whispered with awe and respect. Teachers began to adjust their expectations, realizing that human resilience, intelligence, and adaptability were forces to be reckoned with. Even the most skeptical students had to admit that what they had witnessed was nothing short of extraordinary. Over the next few hours, the academy's attention shifted entirely. Students crowded the hallways where the human moved, curious, respectful, and cautious. Small groups followed him, hoping to learn, to observe, or at least to understand. He allowed them to watch, but he did not perform for them. His actions were deliberate, purposeful, and necessary, never for recognition or fame. The mark on his neck pulsed faintly as he moved, a silent reminder that humans carried hidden strengths that the galaxy often failed to notice. As the day progressed, the human returned to his quiet duties. He repaired minor malfunctions, cleaned laboratories, and organized classrooms. Yet everywhere he went, students whispered, exchanged glances, and tried to glimpse the faint glow on his neck. The mark had become a symbol, a reminder that humans, though underestimated, were capable of feats beyond expectation. It was a lesson that no simulation, lecture, or experiment could have taught them so effectively. Later, as night fell, the academy settled into a calm rhythm. The human walked through the observation deck, gazing out at the stars. The ships glided silently between platforms. Distant planets sparkled, and the galaxy stretched endlessly beyond. He touched the mark on his neck lightly, and it pulsed softly. It was a reminder of the mission he had carried for years, of the responsibilities humans bore, and of the quiet power that came from observation, adaptability, and ingenuity. A young student approached him hesitantly. "Sir, I wanted to thank you," the student said softly, "for everything you've done. Today you saved lives, and the academy. We've never seen anything like it." The human nodded gently. "The academy exists for knowledge. I ensure it survives to teach others. That is all." His humility only deepened the respect that the student felt. Word of the janitor's abilities reached even the most senior faculty by morning. Meetings were held, discussions took place, and theories abounded about his origins, his mark, and his abilities. Some suggested he was part of an ancient human lineage with secret technology. Others believed he carried knowledge lost to the galaxy. Yet the human remained silent on the matter, allowing the galaxy to speculate while he continued his work quietly, effectively, and without recognition. By midweek, a new understanding had settled across the academy. Humans were no longer underestimated. Students approached them with curiosity and respect. Faculty members adjusted their teachings, and even aliens who had once mocked human fragility now watched with cautious admiration. The human janitor, who had gone unnoticed for so long, had become a living example of the extraordinary potential hidden within humanity. As he moved through the halls, the mark on his neck pulsed faintly, a visible reminder of what humans could accomplish when underestimated. The Academy's perception had shifted, subtly but permanently. Students and faculty alike had learned that intelligence, resilience, and adaptability often came in forms they did not expect. And at the center of this revelation, the human remained humble, diligent, and observant, a quiet guardian of knowledge and life. The final test came unexpectedly. A rare energy storm struck the Academy, shaking the floating platforms and causing malfunctions across multiple systems. Students panicked, devices failed, and alarms blared uncontrollably. Even the most advanced drones struggled to respond. The human moved calmly through the chaos, assessing problems and correcting them with subtle, precise actions. His mark pulsed brightly, reacting to the storm's energy, casting a soft glow across the hall. He adjusted energy conduits, stabilized floating constructs, and guided panicked students to safety with quiet authority. Sparks flew dangerously, but he remained composed, aware of every fluctuation, every risk, every detail. By the time the storm subsided, the Academy was intact, no lives lost, and the systems had returned to perfect function. Students and faculty alike stared in awe, realizing that what they had witnessed was not just skill, but something extraordinary, a demonstration of human ingenuity, courage, and quiet power. In the aftermath, the Academy recognized the human janitor not just as a worker, but as a symbol. Students approached him openly, seeking guidance, observing his methods, and learning lessons beyond the curriculum. Faculty acknowledged his contributions, not just in maintenance but in shaping perceptions, teaching patience, resilience, and the often unseen power of careful observation. The mark on his neck remained a subtle glow, a reminder of hidden potential, human strength, and the mysteries yet to be understood. As the Academy settled into a quieter evening, the human walked to the observation deck. Stars stretched endlessly before him, the galaxy's vastness reflecting the limitless potential of humanity. He touched the mark on his neck lightly, a symbol of past missions, quiet achievements, and the resilience of his species. The Academy had changed because of him, subtly yet irrevocably. Humans were no longer underestimated. Students whispered in corridors about the janitor who had become a hero without ever seeking recognition. Aliens who had once mocked humans now looked at them with respect, curiosity, and a hint of awe. The human had shown that true strength often lay not in raw power, but in intelligence, observation, adaptability, and quiet courage. And as he watched the stars, calm and observant, the human janitor knew that the galaxy had only just begun to realize the potential of humanity. One subtle act, one quiet intervention at a time, humans were proving that they could meet challenges no one expected them to, and that even those overlooked by the galaxy could leave a lasting mark.